So not only is Turles going to become a better force for good, but is he going to have his own posse? Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now, this was something that Haverock and I had been really struggling with for the longest time. We didn't think that this would be a viable scenario for a long-form video of its own, let alone a series, maybe a one-shot or lightning round subject at best. However, after receiving many requests coming from the roundtable live streams that we do every week with you fine fellows, we decided to give it a go, but with some twists and caveats thrown in to make it something truly compelling based on what we know in the Dragon Ball Super manga. So, like what we did also with Bardock convincing the Saiyans what if, we are taking this right back to the beginning of the timeline of modern Dragon Ball, age 737, to the time around when Goku was born. But the only thing about Goku that carries on over in this story is the hairdo. That's right, we're talking about what might happen had Turles become a better person here than in the original movie he was in. Would that be technically good? Well, let's find out. In the last part, we had established the idea that Turles, as well as many other vagrant Saiyans, were cast off into the unknown, sent out with glorious purpose to discover a new world for the Saiyans to colonize in the future. But they weren't told the whole story, that this mission was a one-way ticket kind of thing, in that these anomalies in terms of power and class were effectively banished without them even knowing it. They were silly in the eyes of the king. But the crux of this story surfaced when Rossella, the de facto leader of this band of wild wanderers, acquiesced to the call from the Frieza Force to return to planet Vegeta for an important announcement. All of this overriding the original edict to find a new world, and so, she and the rest of the vagrant Saiyans went home. Turles though, he stayed behind, and ultimately survived. In the end, he got picked up by the Heaters after drifting into their space, having run out of fuel, or probably been pranked by his former friends. Now with a new home and seemingly a new purpose, Turles now has to strike it on his own in deep space, free from Frieza's boot. At first, things were looking up for the lone Saiyan. Instead of being fearful of his new benefactors, Turles was very much surprised by the hospitality of his new host. This was nothing like he had ever experienced as a low-class vagrant. Instead of being ridiculed or treated as some kind of freak, he was being pampered. Despite the initial threats and foreboding, the leader of the Heaters, Elec, first told his servants to give him something to eat and drink to cure this starving Saiyan. And that is what he had, food and fluids, immensely curing his lasting hunger and thirst. It had been years since he had had proper food. Insert Gordon Ramsay meme here. Then things got better. He was given his own quarters, where he could shower and rest in solitude, without the warrior being teased or bothered. He had a place of his own, and he was immediately overwhelmed with it all. He wept. This was a big deal to the young man. This kind of thing was a very rare luxury back on planet Vegeta, especially for his caste. He had only seen pictures of what the elites could expect to get. It was almost like it was being rubbed in their noses like, ha ha, you're not going to get this because you're low class. Even the mid-class warriors lusted for it. They had to share quarters on low missions in big ships when pods weren't viable. And now Turles here, he was getting the best thing ever. Although tired, Turles was still apprehensive about all this generosity. What was the catch? He also knew that one wrong step on his part could end badly for him, with him, at best, being cast back out into space, or worse, dead. When his stomach had been fully sated, the servants bravely enduring his Saiyan appetite, which Elec found greatly entertaining, and had also felt clean, he was told to meet with Elec for a friendly chat. Just the two of them. The leader wasn't looking like the kind of person who acted tough, but Turles was still careful. He knew who he was talking to, really. Someone like Elec, who had been rocking around deep space right under Frieza's nose, had to either be very stupid or very powerful. And judging from the decadence of the ship around them, it was most likely that Elec was the latter deep down. Turles hadn't decided what to think about him yet though, but knew that his life wasn't at risk, for now. So, a Saiyan deserter. After what happened to your planet, I don't blame you. Turles' brow rose. Meaning? The young Saiyan was pretty sure that he knew what Elec meant, but he wanted to hear that from the Heater himself. Elec smirked. Surely this monkey wasn't that stupid. He relished in breaking the news to this little fawn. You honestly don't believe that your homeworld was the casualty of some random comet or meteor storm, do you? I hate to break it to you, kid, but that's not the case. Turles looked stern. Then what was it then? You see, me and my associates, we deal in information. Information is what has bestowed us with great riches, influence, and the very sustenance that you have oh so sampled during your stay. The young boy softened his stance. So, Frieza's order for all Saiyans to return had something to do with this? Ilek's smile widened. Precisely. Now tell me, boy, why should I keep you and not hand you back into the Frieza Force? What can you offer me? Turles didn't feel as much of a guest anymore. He was being treated now like a merc. Right now, he wasn't sure whether he wanted to be kept, but he quickly realized the bitter truth. He couldn't realistically survive out there for long, darting under Frieza's control. Not alone. He needed to be around something big to dart under Frieza's radar. He was too young and inexperienced to hope that he would be able to stand alone against the Force. He knew that. He needed some toughening up and guidance. He steeled himself up and spoke. I am persistent, and I have nowhere to go. If you're so knowing, we Saiyans are built to last.
Ironic that. Built to last. Vegeta's destruction would suggest otherwise. But you piqued my interest. But how do I know you won't betray me, like you betrayed Frieza?
I didn't betray Frieza! I ignored him.
What's the difference? Ilek teased Turles.
As I said before, I've nowhere else to go, and I know better than to bite the hand that feeds me.
Ilek's own eyebrows rose. A Saiyan who knows their place. Splendid. What's your name, boy?
Turles.
Well, Turles. It seems that this will be the beginning of a fruitful friendship.
Well, Turles became part of the Heta mercenary force. His job mostly consisted of working for Ilek and the Hetas on various fact-finding missions, the Saiyans safe in the knowledge that he would be protected and not put in any unnecessary danger given his skill set and, well, status of being a lone Saiyan. They knew he was hot property right now, so it was best to keep him safe, not just because of his skills, but also if he actually ended up going rogue, he'd be very profitable on the black market. The usual jobs would amount to mostly gathering intel with a group of other misfits from various worlds seeking companionship. In a way, this was quite good for Turles. He was the muscle of this group, though his smarts did help him on more than one occasion. He had some brains to go with his brawn, which made him a cut above the average tank, and this didn't go unnoticed. He swiftly gained the reputation of being a very ruthless and effective leader, and at the age of 18, he had become one of Ilek's favourites. But having said that, Turles didn't expect this favour to then warrant something that would resemble kindness or companionship. Both of them knew that their relationship was strictly a business-based one. Ilek didn't reign him with kindness of heart or mercy. He couldn't bring himself to. But this didn't mean he treated him badly. He saw a very notable use for the young Saiyan, and Turles respected and understood that, so he didn't feel particularly hard done by all this seemingly lack of friendship. Pragmatism was a much better way of life than frivolous things such as empathy and mercy anyway. This actually appealed to Turles more, since Saiyans weren't one for niceness, and Ilek rolled with that. It got results, and Ilek, he likes results. One day, Turles was called before Ilek for another one of their friendly one-on-one chats. But this time though, they weren't alone. The Heta leader was accompanied by his creepiest sibling, Gas. Turles wasn't a fan of him. He was weird.
Ah, Turles, it's good that you're here. Gas, show him what we found.
Gas, silent as usual, displayed a holographic image of something round, orange, and a bit spiky.
Turles, humour me. Do you know what this is?
Asked Ilek. I can't be certain, sir, but it looks to me like some sort of fruit. What about it? Ilek laughed out loud.
Oh, my boy! You are both right and wrong. This isn't some ordinary fruit that you would find on my dinner table. This is the fruit of the gods. one intended to be consumed only by Kais and beings like them whom they deem worthy. Instead of being in awe of this marvelous revelation, Turles was left feeling skeptical. Gods? Kais? Did you hit your head, Elec? On the contrary, Turles. I am seeing things clearly for the first time in a long while. This little thing has the power to suck the energy out of an entire planet, all by simply planting it in the ground. By doing so, it absorbs the world's very essence and concentrates it, all in a single fruit like this you can fit in the palm of your hand. Just one bite can grant you immense power, possibly enough to defeat Frieza. This isn't possible. It must be some sort of ridiculous legend. Nothing more. Elec shrugged. I don't just sink my resources into any urban legend, boy, but you never know. What we do know, however, is that there are people out there, incredibly stupid but rich people, willing to pay silly money for it, even if it's just a legend. So you will get one for me from my contact. If they try anything funny, though, remind them who is boss. You're really sending me to some remote planet just to get you a fruit? Is that it? Elec dismissed him with a gesture of his hand. Come now, don't tell me that you aren't at least a little bit curious. Wouldn't you want to have the power to kill Frieza after what he did to your people? Turles frowned. Fine, but this costs extra. I wouldn't expect anything less. I have taught you well. As the Saiyan walked out, Gas looked at his brother, showing a bit of concern. Are you sure that he's trustworthy, brother? Oh no, not at all. He will betray us one day. But the right Saiyan in the wrong place can really tip the scales in our favor. Besides, with the fruit or without, he won't defeat you that easily. Meanwhile, Turles was preparing for his departure. Elec usually gave him decently paid jobs, and this was one of them. He just felt that getting a stupid fruit was beneath him, despite the payout. Still though, if the contact proved to be difficult, let's say, Turles could at least have some fun, so it wasn't a total waste of time. The journey was, for the most part, routine, as the planet he was meant to visit was located in a very remote location. I mean, you wouldn't expect such a notorious fruit of the gods to be on your average planet. When he got closer though, his interest was piqued, despite the urban legend. Mostly because he had never seen a tree as huge as that. He hadn't even landed yet. He was still in orbit, millions of miles away from the planet. Maybe there was some truth to this legend. He landed close to the tree, noticing how barren the planet had become around it. This was meant to be a jungle planet, but the only thing that was brimming with life here was the tree. It seemed like this was a recent occurrence too, as the remains of life were still present around the tree, like they had been laid down to rest forever. Turles beheld its magnificence. This looked powerful. He wondered if this silly legend could be true. It certainly looked it. He took a walk around the barren wasteland, since there was nobody obviously after this tree, him gazing at the life that went to sustain the magnificent sequoia. But then, he was caught off guard by a hooded being. Impressive, isn't it? The voice asked Turles, and he could see a faint hint of a smile. Not bad for a tree. Elec sent me. I'm here for the fruit. The shady character threw the fruit in his general direction. Why don't you take a bite? You think I'm stupid? Pretty sure you poisoned that one. Not at all. I can take a bite at the same time if you're too frightened. I thought you Saiyans were fearless. Turles knew that this was extremely irresponsible of him. There was nothing in the mission briefing of him eating the fruit there and then. He was only meant to collect an example of it, but this tree was so big. He was sure it could bear more. What harm could this do? As he took a bite though, he felt different. A sudden surge of power coursed through his veins. His body grew dramatically, putting his Saiyan armor to the test, and then shrunk back to his regular size. But he felt more powerful. He spat out a few seeds onto the palm of his hand. That felt incredible. Do you have more? Turles didn't feel sick or compromised, so the stranger had spoken the truth. I have only one more. Besides, it is pretty dangerous to eat more than one that soon after. And besides, Eating the same fruit on the same planet isn't that ambitious, is it? You will get far better results by planting these trees on other worlds. Think big, my friend.
Any planet, you say?
Turles was genuinely curious. No, it needs to be brimming with life. As you probably know, this was once a jungle world. Could you believe?
The stranger passed the second fruit to Turles.
Also, you can do magnificent things with its extract, like bringing back the dead.
Why didn't you go to Elec directly and give it to him? Why are you doing this through me?
The hooded person laughed. I'm giving that to you. What you do with it is up to your good self. Give it to Elec, don't give it to Elec. Your call. It'll be fun whatever you do for me to witness.
Turles knew that this might be a trap, but he accepted and took the last fruit. When he departed, he looked back and saw the tree rapidly withering, as it existed only to bear him those 2 fruits. Thusly, that planet's life had come to an end. Wow. And even though he had his doubts, he returned to Elec with his prize, choosing to be honest and coming back with the goods.
Be honest with me. Did you eat any of the fruit, Turles?
I was given one before retrieving this one, yes.
Do you feel anything?
Turles wanted to give him a little show to prove it, but he could feel that gas was still way stronger than him despite eating the fruit. He just simply nodded. Elec respected his honesty and modesty. Saiyans weren't known for being forthcoming and gracious. Turles was a smart one.
I was thinking, selling one fruit would be good money, but planting those seeds you brought back in a suitable location, that would give us more. Think you can handle that task for me?
Do I look like a gardener to you? Turles scoffed but smirked as well.
I see someone who wants to get stronger and one day crush Frieza with his own hands. And I think with enough fruit at your disposal, you could accomplish that.
Turles thought about it. If one fruit could do what he felt, we need to find some lush planets, probably jungle ones, one that are very life-rich.
Elec waved that aside. Do as you please, my friend. Just keep those seeds away from our worlds. Your contact said something about the extract of this fruit, reviving the dead or something to that effect. See, I wanted to show you my gratitude for being sincere with me. Shall we put that one fruit to the test, now that we have seeds to make more? Our clients won't care if they still get their prize in the end if they just have to wait a little bit more.
Turles was reluctant but eventually agreed. It quickly became apparent that the Heaters were in the possession of fossils of the long-gone Bean people. Elec told Turles that they had been really smart engineers, and the two then ordered servants to make an extract from the fruit. Then the mixture was given to Turles, who poured it over said fossils, who, sure enough, returned to life. The 2 beings that were revived introduced themselves as Raisin and Lacasse, and pleaded their allegiance to Turles. Together with the Heaters' engineers, they designed a new ship for Turles. And then Elec helped him get in contact with the notorious bounty hunter Cacao, and to gather some troops. And thus, the Turles Crusher Corps were officially founded, and ready to scour the galaxy for suitable locations to plant the Tree of Might, as they called it. His first target would be the planet Cabocha. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? How can Turles turn good from this premise? Will the Heaters be more trusting with him? Or is this all part of Elec's plan to play everyone? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!